Hello everyone, this is Ishan and you're watching Programming with Ishan, and today we are here to dive into this amazing world of Angular development. And I will be guiding you guys to understand what actually Angular is and how you can set it up on your device. Before do all that, guys, if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe this channel so that you can join our amazing community. And for my returning viewers, thank you so much for all your continued support. Without any further ado, let's get started with the journey. And I would request you guys to check out the upcoming few seconds of this video where my friend Angular is going to talk about itself. So, right on. So I believe by now you guys would have got some basic understanding on Angular, and I know there were few terms which were quite confusing, especially these ones, like the MVC, MVVM, single page applications, and etc. etc. But don't worry about them. We will be discussing them soon in next chapter. Especially the SPAs, MVC, and MVVM will be taken care of in the chapter 2 itself, and afterwards all the other topics we will keep on discussing whenever we will get into the relevant chapters. Right, so before to that, this chapter is all about the introduction and setup. So let's get on the setup part and quickly run the Angular application. Let me write down the steps for you guys. The first one would be to install npm and node.js. Step 2 would be to to install Angular CLI on your system. To install Angular CLI on your system, you require npm to be available on the system, so that's why we are installing node and npm first. And Angular CLI is an Angular command line interface which provides lots of commands for which are useful in Angular application. And step 3 will be to create a new project using the Angular CLI command, that is ng-new, the ng commands. And finally the step 4 would be to run the live development server so that you can actually see your application running on the browser. Okay, so we'll check these steps one by one, and by the end of the fourth step you will be having your application running on your browser. So in the step 1 we need to install node.js and npm. So we have this website, that is nodejs.org. Okay, so you can go to the download section where you will find all the downloadables available. You can download any of the LTS version for this. I have 16.10.0 on my system. So okay, in this drop down you will be finding all the versions available. You can download any of the LTS versions which are compatible for your requirement. Yeah, so I have 16.10.0. if you want you can have that also, or else you can go for 16.20.2, the one which we have selected. Let me write the link as well. So the link for the same is https nodejs.org and /en. So now we have to check if the node.js and npm have installed successfully or not. So for that we have these two commands available, that is npm-v and node-v. So node-v will give you the node.js version installed, and npm-v will give you the version of npm installed. So let us try to run this on the command prompt and see what versions we get. As I already mentioned, I will be having node as 16.10.0 and npm version will be 7.24.0. Yep. So this means we have successfully installed node and npm in our system, and now The next step for us would be to actually install the Angular CLI, the command line interface on the system, so that we can move ahead to create a new project of Angular. Okay, so to install Angular CLI on our system, we have this npm command, that is npm install -g space @angular slash CLI. And -g actually stands for global, so the CLI will be installed globally on your system device. Let's try to run this on your command prompt. On my system, I already have an Angular CLI installed, so I don't need to run that. You can try that, it will take some time. Be patient there. This is the command. And once this is installed, to check the installation, we have this command ng space version. So this will let us know the Angular CLI version and all those things. Now the next step for us would be to actually create a project using Angular command. So this actually sums up the actual installation of Angular on your setup on your device, the installation of Node and npm plus the installation of Angular CLI. Quite easy, right? Now the next one is to create this project. Before to that, please move to the folder wherever you want to create that project. Um, yeah, and the command would be ng space new space the project name. So I'm keeping first Angular hyphen app. Let's try to run this on our command prompt. Sorry. Yeah. So it will ask you a few questions like do you want to add Angular routing or the type of style sheet you want to continue with. So you can go ahead and select yes for the routing, and CSS, SCSS, anything which you like for the style sheet part. And then it will start creating the files and installing all the packages. These packages will be installed in a folder called as node modules. So all the packages got installed successfully. So this actually signifies that your project has been created and it is ready to run now. So before running the project, we should actually check opening this in the Visual Studio Code. Yeah, I'm using Visual Studio Code. We'll provide you the link at last, how you can download that. To open the Visual Studio Code directly, you have like you can open this project in Visual Studio Code in two ways. One is you can open Visual Studio Code and open the folder. Another one, which I prefer, is to just go to that path where your project has been set up, and there is a command that is code space dot code space dot. So entering this command and pressing enter will actually open Visual Studio Code with the path you have opened in the command prompt. Enter. So yeah, you can see, right? So we have this folder open here. Let me just place it properly, and I will zoom it for you guys so that it is visible. I hope this is visible to you now. So this node modules is the folder which I was talking about. Here we have all the third-party installations and all the default Angular installation packages available. And these dependencies which we install, they are mentioned in this package.json file. So we have this dependencies and dev dependencies. So this file structure and important file part discussion we will do in the next chapter as well. But giving you a summary here, whatever you are trying to install, it will go to the node modules folder. And suppose if this project was there on the git, so on the git you will not have everything available, right, in the node modules, because it is too heavy. So in that case, you can run npm install command and on that project, and all these dependencies will get installed in the node modules folder, so that your application is ready to run. Okay, I will write this command as well on our readme file. Give me a moment. Okay, so npm install, this is to install dependencies. in your Angular file. Sorry, in your node modules file. Yeah, folder, node modules folder. So finally, we have arrived to the fourth step. That is the last step of this process. That is running the live development server and then checking the project on the browser if it is running properly or not. Uh, so the command for running that is npm start. This is an npm command, or else you can use an Angular CLI command also, that is ngserve. But npm start actually runs the ngserve command itself internally. That is actually mentioned in the package.json. So if you check in package.json, npm start would be written in the top first 10 lines, and the command written next to that would be ngserve itself. So we'll be using npm start, and let's see what happens afterwards. So it takes some time when it runs. You can see ngserve is actually running when you run npm start. So let us wait for some time. It will be generating few bundle files, and it will also let us know on which port the application is running. So give it some moment, and let's see what happens. So finally it started generating the browser application bundle files now. Okay, so the files are, you can see there are 5 files generated, that is vendor, polyfill, styles.css or styles.js, main file, and the runtime file. So these are the 5 chunk files which are generated, which we'll be discussing in detail in the next chapter. And the port on which it is running is 4200, so we can open in our browser, we can run localhost 4200 and we'll be able to fetch the application. Yeah, so if you also are getting the same results, then congratulations, your Angular project is running and is completely set up on your devices. Now you can use all the learning and work in parallel with this video to understand all the concepts which we'll be discussing here. So guys, we are at the end of this chapter, and we would like to summarize what all we have learned. So we touched the introduction of Angular, the definition, history, as well as we also checked the process to install Angular on your devices, which included the installation of Node.js and npm from this link, and the installation of Angular CLI using the npm command, and then we created a new project using the CLI command, that is ngnew. And finally we were able to run the live development server. So this was all about the introduction and the setup part, right? In the next chapter we will be discussing about SPAs, MVC and MVVM, and we will also be diving deeper into the file structure part of the Angular, right? So till then, thank you guys for your concentration and for your time, and we'll be meeting soon in the next chapter.